Welcome to literary and jury charge practice. Let's get started with this narrative answer. Get our fingers moving. Ready? Here we go. To answer your question, the ladder jacks that we rented are regular scaffolding jacks that are secured to the ladder. We had rented these regular scaffolding jacks many times. The plank sits over the top of them and snaps in place. These are perfectly all right with the government because we have had them on jobs before and they have come out and inspected our work, and there has been no trouble with them whatsoever. These ladder jacks have a device in which one part hooks onto the bottom round and one part hooks onto the top round. When there is weight placed on it, there is no way for them to come off of there. The plank itself is 16 or 18 inches long. The device turns up about 2 inches and the plank sits on top of that. The place where it turns up keeps the plank from sliding off or jolting off. I don't see any way that the ladder jacks could have been responsible for this accident. Not only had we used them many times before and found them satisfactory, but the ladder jacks were intact after the accident. All right, now let's work on this congressional literary that we had started previously. Ready? Here we go. Our dynamic renewal of the faith which we have in our destiny will bring rewards, Mr. President, which are yet unimagined by the millions of poor people in the many areas who are living for their next meal. This group of economic communities will be the beginning of a cohesive continent. We must begin by passing the legislation not only to appropriate the required funds, but to set up the very best network so that the administration of the funds can be done with the cooperation of all the member nations in the most economical way possible. Mr. President, from my past experience, I fully expect that there will be amendments offered to this bill. Any appropriation bill is subject to such amendment. However, I would hope that in the spirit of cooperation, we not amend this bill to death. All right, now for some jury charge practice. And this is one that we have been working on, and the subject is negligence. Ready? Here we go. Question number 5 of the verdict covers failure to yield the right of way. In respect to that question of the verdict, I instruct you that the law of this state provides that when two vehicles approach or enter an intersection at approximately the same time, the driver of the vehicle on the left shall yield the right of way to the vehicle on the right. If two automobiles approach or enter the intersection at approximately the same time, the driver from the left must yield the right of way to the driver from the right. If, on the other hand, the driver from the left is in the intersection ahead of the driver from the right by such a margin that it can be said that the two cars neither approached nor entered the intersection at approximately the same time, then neither driver has the right of way. All right, next let's try this narrative answer. Ready? Here we go. The materials that make up the chlorination tubes are uniformly susceptible to shock, particularly if any type of pipe coupling or elbow joint is involved. If you go with the black steel pipe method, a protective ceramic lengthens the life of the chlorination tubes. The steel parts that are to be coated with the ceramic or porcelain are fabricated from steel that has been formulated with an eye to the porcelain enameling process. The parts are cleaned by a pickling process. Let me go through that. We will get back to that. This is called a hearing for a building permit. Here we go. Perhaps I didn't make myself clear at the last set of hearings. I thought that I had put on the agenda the scheduling matters and the permit matters that we talked about. The fact that an application has not yet been filed with the Coastal Commission does not relieve the urgency of preparing the draft in any respect whatsoever. The Coastal Commission will not accept an application from us until such time as the city has taken whatever action it needs to take. Of course, they have to give us a construction permit, but mainly what is going to hold up the Coastal Commission is the deviation from the particular plan which we are going to have to get in order to do the construction. Now the city in turn will not do anything until such time as they have had a report to review. They cannot take final action as I understand it under the state guidelines until such time as they have that report. The report is really critical in the timing of all of the other permits for this project. Let's get back to our other narrative answer. Finish this one up. Ready? Here we go. The process begins with a medium alkali wash followed by a mild alkali wash and then a clear water rinse. Next, the material is etched with acid. Then you have another clear water rinse and you hit it with a nickel flash to improve the bonding qualities. Lastly, you put it in a neutralizing bath and then dry it at high speed. Dirty or scaly metal is sometimes sandblasted, which is a considerably more expensive operation than the pickling process I have just described. If you drop the whole idea of black steel pipe and go to gray cast iron, you end up with a piece of equipment that embodies good resistance to corrosion, particularly if it is allowed to age and oxidize, but it is too heavy and unwieldy for many applications. All right, back to some jury charge practice. Here we go. Question number 9 of the verdict has to do with failure to stop at a stop sign. In this connection, I instruct you that it is the law of this state that it shall be unlawful for the operator of any vehicle to fail to come to a full and complete stop within 30 feet of the near limits of an intersection at which there has been erected an official stop sign or traffic signal designating an artery for through traffic. I instruct you further that he must not only stop before entering the intersection, but he must stop and observe where an efficient observation may be had. All right, now we'll get back to our hearing for a building permit. Ready? Here we go. We have the 30-day notice requirement that is necessary under the rules so that after the draft is out, it is going to require a 30-day waiting period until we can close the record and get on with the project. I don't know whether we can start that week of hearings or not. I think it would be pointless to start unless we were sure we could get the report out within 30 days of the final date of that week. If it has to be put over, it is going to be going over into sometime in July, and it is my understanding that there are going to be scheduling problems because of staff vacations, and we are into substantial difficulty in the timing of the project, and the thing that is blocking us right now is the draft. All right, and that will conclude our literary and jury charge practice.